Good evening, everyone. Welcome back to the Bundesliga show. We're back, us three, for the first time in a long while. We've been a bit on and off with our Thursday evening show, so I hope everyone who tunes into this show is doing well. And has missed the show, we do apologise. Scheduling has got in the way a little bit in the last month or so, but we're back and ready for some predictions. Looking forward to the last match week before another international break. So match day 27. We've got some predictions to do, of course, and Rune is back for some obviously some top tips fantasy football wise. So let's not delay, shall we? Let's crack on with some predictions. So let's start off with Friday night's game this week. So we've got Friday football again this week coming. We've got VfL Bochum hosting Borussia Mönchengladbach. So I guess a game that hasn't got too much riding on it. I kind of feel like both teams are more or less safe now, although both will be striving for a good end to the season. Hard to say with Gladbach because, of course, they're so up and down, and Bochum are really, really strong at home. So I'm going to say that Bochum might edge this one 2-1. Mark, over to you.
Yeah, I think obviously Bochum probably need one more win to be officially safe. Probably Gladbach will feel the same, but I guess they, despite being 2 points further behind, they'll probably be less concerned about a late potentially being dragged back into it. I still think Bochum will want to get that kind of final win to get over the line, which for me, 35 points would be enough to keep them in the division. I agree with you, Rory. I think they'll get it in this game. I just think Bochum very, very strong at home, as we know. They beat all kinds of teams at home. Gladbach, obviously, I would say that the finish in the season relatively okay, but it's still more kind of very up and down, and they don't travel very well these days. I've gone for a 1-0 home win for me.
Very good, and welcome back, Rune. What's your prediction for this game?
Thanks. Yeah, I'm going against you guys. I think Gladbach will win this 2-1. But yeah, I agree with many of the points you made. But I think that Bochum they're sweating over the fitness of some of their key players, especially in defense, with Leitch and Danilo Suarez likely to be out again. And they've had a quite impressive season, but I think they've struggled a bit for the last month or so, at least compared to how they did earlier this season. Basically, since the Bayern win, they have. I don't think they've looked that strong. And Gladbach, on the other hand, are starting to look a bit better, I think, with the likes of Player and Thuram finally starting to show what they're capable of. So being the more informed side and also the better sides in terms of quality, I think they'll make a 2-1 win.
Yeah, very good points indeed made there, Rune, particularly on the form of Player and Thuram have been very good in fairness. Let's move on to Saturday afternoon's games. First up, a ginormous one at the bottom of the table between my boys VfB Stuttgart and FC Augsburg. Very interesting game, of course. Stuttgart will be pleased with the way that they've been playing recently and would have been given a massive boost having just recently swapped places with Hertha into the slightly less worrying position of 16th place, but still being in a relegation playoff spot. Being at home with a big crowd, hopefully behind them, Stuttgart, and the way they've been playing recently really makes me believe that they could get another win, a really big win. So I'm going to say that they'll nick it. I don't expect it to be comfortable by any margin because Augsburg know how to win these sort of games. But I'll say 2-1 to the home side.
Yeah, I think obviously Augsburg in the last game did actually get one of these big 6-pointer wins in the away in Bielefeld. So that's going to stand them in really, really good stead going into this game, to be honest. I think obviously for your boys, Rory, the 3 games unbeaten with 5 points over those 3 games. But they still don't fully convince me at times, despite the improvements. And I just think Augsburg will be happy not to be beaten here, because that'll keep that 3-point gap intact with Hertha with a difficult game, obviously, to come. So they'll probably be quite happy with a draw, considering they've got a game in hand at home to Mainz as well. So I think they'll get that. I've gone for a 1-1 draw here for me.
Very good. And Marina, what do you reckon to this one?
Yeah, I've gone for 2-1 win for Stuttgart, like you, Roy. But yeah, at the same time, it's is obviously a really important game that neither side can really afford to lose. But I feel Stuttgart deserve to be much higher on the table than what their position is at the moment, and they've been really unlucky this season, not just with injuries but also on the pitch. I think they should have more points, basically. And recently things have finally gone a bit their way at last, also with Sosa and Kalaitis linking up again, and showing that special connection that we saw from them last season. Salzburg, they did show last time against Bielefeld that they can grind out results against their relegation rivals, but their away record is still pretty poor, and with their home crowd behind them, I'm backing Stuttgart to get the win here.
Yeah, I feel like an early goal in this game would be very big for Stuttgart. The longer the game goes on at 0-0 will get me very, very worried. I think if Stuttgart can score in the first half, I think I'll be a lot more confident. But moving on, we've got another big game towards the bottom, but Mainz at home to Bielefeld, obviously more important for Bielefeld. From a safety point of view, Mainz have had a very good season, actually. Maybe tailed off a little bit, but they're giving every team a game, and they've only really dropped in recent weeks because of the fact that they've not played, and, had a very spirited performance against Dortmund last night, only obviously just beaten by that Axel Witsel late goal. So they're clearly not too ring rusty, and at home I think they've got a great chance. Bielefeld is starting to struggle somewhat. So let me just check where I have put the game. I've actually gone for a 1-1 draw on this occasion. I was kind of talking it up to be a Mainz win there. I've got 1-1 apparently.
Yeah, that was a big build-up for a Mainz win there, but he's gone for the draw. Yeah, but I think for me, I have actually gone for a Mainz win in this game, because I just obviously I've talked Bielefeld up quite a lot on the show. I always thought they were a bit unlucky early on in the season, and I thought they were well on course for a comfortable kind of lower mid-table finish a few weeks ago, but I don't know what's happened to them really the last few weeks. They've just become very, very toothless up front. Let's be honest. Your man, Yanni Serra, is just not doing it, is he, at all, and I just don't know if they've got a good number 9 in the squad. That's the problem. And obviously Wimmer hasn't been quite as good the last couple of games. Maybe Okugawa as well has kind of dropped off a little bit. So I'm worried about where the goals are coming from. And obviously they're playing a notoriously defensively strong Mainz side, who for me were unlucky to lose that game midweek against Dortmund. Kind of one mistake really cost them the game, didn't it? But they kept Dortmund to very, very few chances in that one. But I have gone for a 2-1 home win. I just think Mainz at home, they'll want to bounce back with a win in this game.
Very good. Yeah, Rune, do you agree with Mark, or do you think my apparent draw prediction is the right one?
I pretty much agree with Mark. I've gone for a 1-0 win for Mainz here. As you said, they actually look quite good against Dortmund, considering the COVID situation that they've been experiencing. And their home record is great, and they're incredibly solid defensively. At the same time, as you pointed out, Mark, Bielefeld have really been toothless lately, and it's hard to see them finding a goal here, I think. So, Bielefeld at the same time have lost 3 games in a row. So I think everything points to a Mainz win here.
Very good. Moving on. Another really big game, again, towards the further table, sees Felix Magath take charge of Hertha for the first time as they host Hoffenheim. Very interesting to see how Hertha will respond to Magath, whether he'll be able to get his methodologies across to them, discipline and working hard, going up against the team that run the most or do the most intensive sprints in the league in Hoffenheim, and who are a real force going forward, have hit the bar or have hit the woodwork the most times in the league, more than Bayern and other, attacking teams like that. So, if Hoffenheim, turn up the way they have been, they're joint top with RB Leipzig in terms of the form table, 13 points from the last 15. Everything points to a Hoffenheim win, really. So on this occasion, I've given it the big build-up, and I will back up what I'm saying. I'll say 3-1 to Hoffenheim.
That means a Hertha win, I guess. Yeah. But yeah, I just think, to be honest with you, that Hertha, I mentioned last week on the Monday night show, I'm just not sure that Magath has really got it in him nowadays to kind of galvanize the troops. He obviously does have a very good record in Germany, and he'll definitely have had them on that running pitch, doing marathons during the week to get them a lot fitter. I do expect to see a more spirited performance from Hertha than we've seen, especially since January, where they've been absolutely shocking, basically. But I agree. I just think Hoffenheim are a really good side. And in some ways, they've been a little bit unlucky, actually. As you said, they've hit the woodwork so many times, I think apart from that little bad run they had in January and early February, they'd be like well clear in fourth now, really. And I still think they've got a chance of getting fourth, to be honest. But I've also gone for a 3-1 away win in this game.
Very good. 3 from 3 then, Rune?
Yeah, me too. Actually, the exact same result. I think that sometimes when crisis hit teams, hire new coach, they experience an upswing, but I'm not so sure that's what will happen with Hertha. I think the club is just in so much turmoil, and the decision to appoint Magath is controversial and a huge gamble with him. I mean, he's been out of the business for a long while. It's been a long while since he's been in Germany. And as you pointed out as well, he's a bit controversial figure, and we'll see if he's the right man for them. And besides, he won't even be in the dugout after testing positive for COVID-19. So he won't even be able to yell at his players. Basically, as you said, Roy, Hoffenheim are one of the most informed sides in the league, and everything points to a win here for them.
Very good. Last afternoon game on the Saturday is Greuther Fürth hosting Champions League chasing SC Freiburg. It's starting to get way beyond the last chance saloon really for Fürth before it starts to get mathematically impossible for them. Of course, they have been pretty impressive at home, apart from quite recently losing. But, Freiburg, everything that they've been building towards, they keep on getting impressive wins. They're probably learning how to get through these tough matches like the Wolfsburg game. They didn't let the disappointment of the week before when they drew to Leipzig late on kind of affect them in that kind of regard. So they're starting to build a real strong mentality, I think, at the club. Nico Schlotterbeck leading from the back at the front by smashing in that late winner. They're Freiburg are like a really strong team and will continue to chase that top four with a 3-1 away win, I reckon. Over to you, Mark.
Yeah, I think there is a little bit of pressure on this one for Freiburg because, as you say, they've got to be beating Fürth if they want to get in that top four. But obviously, the fact they're challenging for top four in the first place is a massive overachievement at the end of the day, considering their budget. I think deep down they'll probably be happy with sixth, which would guarantee them Europe ahead of next season. But they've got to keep pushing for that. Obviously they're still in the cup as well. A lot of people keep forgetting they'll be favourites to make the final there too. So still so much to play for them. But I agree. I just think Fürth, they had that really good run, but they've kind of fallen off the last 3 or 4 games again for me, really. And obviously that was compounded in that hammering to end that 6-match home run, unbeaten run against Leipzig the other week. And I think they're going to back that up with another home defeat. I just think a very, very comfortable 2-0 win for the away side for me here.
Yeah, very good. Over to you, Rune.
Yeah, I'm also backing Freiburg here. 3-1 win by the wayside is my bet. Fürth actually looked quite good at home, as you said, Roy, for a while, but then they were thumped 6-1 by Leipzig last week, and I think they were back at that, making those schoolboy defending mistakes. Leipzig were playing well, but at the same time, it just looked so easy. I think we were back at earlier this season when we said they weren't really ready to play in the Bundesliga. And also their coach, Stefan Deidel, was furious after the game, calling out players for not doing enough for the shirt, doing enough for the club, considering they worked so hard to be where they are now. So they'll be determined to show a reaction to that defeat, but it's hard to see them taking anything from a game against the Freiburg side, who will try to push for European football and who also did take a pretty strong win over Wolfsburg last week, which will give them some. It will be a good thing for their mentality that they got that late winner.
Agreed. Yeah, absolutely. Moving on to the evening game, we've got the champions Bayern hosting Union Berlin. And I mean, realistically, I guess a bit of pressure on this game, considering two draws in a row for Bayern. Everyone thought that a kind of a cruise towards the 10th straight title was incoming, but all of a sudden maybe we've got a title race on our hands. So Union will present a test, maybe not as strong a test as they might have presented earlier on this season, although they are shaping up again after the kind of loss of Cruisers. They've adapted to it, starting to see more of a partnership between Awonyi and Geraldo Becker, who I'm a big fan of, although I do think Bayern will get over the line and win again. 3-1 I've gone for Bayern. So, Mark, what do you reckon?
Yeah, I think it's, again, the same as the last time these two sides met. I remember Union got absolutely stuffed at home by Bayern because Bayern came into the game on the back of a defeat as well in that game, didn't they? So, and again, Union have got the unfortunate task of playing a Bayern side that haven't won in the last 2 games now and are kind of fighting for the title again, as you say, only 4 points clear at the top now. And I just don't think it looks good for Union in this one. I think Bayern, they know they've got to win this one because they still have some tricky away games to come. I looked at the fixtures, still got the likes of Freiburg away. Obviously, that big game against Dortmund as well. So they can't be dropping any more points because Dortmund, they've tightened themselves up at the back and they're starting to look a lot better in that regard now. And with Haaland back as well. So I've actually gone for a 5-0 thumping here. I think we're ready for one of those classic Bayern thumping wins, and it's going to come here. I'm sorry, Union fans, but yeah, 5-0 Bayern.
Okay, so watch out for 5 goals going in. Rune, what do you reckon?
Yeah, I'm more on your side, Rory. I've gone for a 3-1 win for Bayern, but that's mainly because Bayern will be missing some pretty important players with Benjamin Pavard and Niklas Süle joining an already long list of absentees. And as we've seen, their squad depth isn't exactly the best, I think. And Lewandowski is a doubt too. A lot will depend on if he's fit enough to play. He's been struggling with a knee issue. And Nagelsmann will kind of have to decide whether to risk him also with the Champions League quarterfinals coming up. And not in a too distant future. So, but yeah, as you said, they will be fired up to win this game after drawing 2 times in a row. And yeah, although Union have looked better in recent weeks, I still don't think they're the same side that they were with Friedrich and Kruse. So yeah, this should be a game that this is a game that Bayern would usually win 9 out of 10 times.
Indeed. Moving on to Sunday, then 3 games. We'll try and go through these slightly quicker. So dealing with more the top end of the table, Leipzig hosting Frankfurt. Looks like quite an exciting game. This one, Frankfurt, have been a lot better after their slow start to the season. Rafa Borre has bedded in a lot better than we thought he might do. But Leipzig look on fire realistically, don't they? So I have gone for an entertaining but ultimately a win for Leipzig 3-2. Mark, what do you reckon to this one?
Yeah, I think obviously the fact that Frankfurt play tonight as well, a little bit later on, that's an absolutely massive game for them. They take a lead into the second leg against Betis, which would be a huge scalp for them, really. Obviously, we've seen the Spanish teams this week doing a few jobs on teams around Europe away from home. So they'll have to be especially, careful for that game. But I just think Frankfurt are starting to finish the season really strong. They seem to be playing like a Glasner team now. This is more the kind of side that we expected from the start of the season from when Oliver Glasner came in. I think they look a lot better now. And I agree with you, Roy, that they'll really give this game a fight. But I just think Leipzig are looking so fresh at the moment. And their season is promising so much at the moment. They could realistically get 3rd plus 2 cup wins. That's not out of the question at the minute. And I've gone for a 3-2 home win for me.
Very good. And over to you, Rune.
I think it will be a bit of a bit clearer win for Leipzig. I'm betting them to win 4-1 here, but that's mainly because of the fact that Frankfurt play in Europe tonight.
Sure.
I think that will give them some tired legs, and this is not a game they will be expecting to win. And at the same time, as you said, Leipzig are simply on fire. It's amazing what Tedesco has done with this Leipzig team. We all knew they had a great squad, but it just seems like he's really getting the most out of his player, and at the same time, he's able to rotate the team a lot. with everyone doing their part. So although Frankfurt are not an easy side to play against by any means, I think with the form Leipzig have shown lately, they should beat a tired Frankfurt team at home.
Very good. Right, last two games. We've got Wolfsburg at home to Leverkusen. So, yeah, Leverkusen have just lost to Atalanta. I've just checked 1-0, so they'll be gutted to have gone out 4-2 on aggregate of the Europa League. Tired legs against an improving Wolfsburg team makes me think it'll be a tight game than maybe it should be. So I'll say 2-2 on this one. Mark, what do you reckon?
Yeah, I think Leverkusen are going to be worried about falling into one of those slumps that they often go into at the moment. I mean, there's no shame in losing to Atalanta because for me, they're one of the favourites to win the Europa League. I think they're a really good side, Atalanta. But the last couple of league performances have also been a bit concerning, let's be honest, especially losing at home to Köln in the last game. So they're actually on the back of 3 straight defeats now. And we know that Leverkusen are a side that can kind of back up defeats at times, especially when the confidence gets a bit lower. They're not scoring quite as many goals at the moment, and they're not quite looking as good going forward and as sharp. They could be a little bit tired after a long European campaign, I don't know, but I've actually gone for a 2-1 win for Wolfsburg here to complete the double over Leverkusen. I just think Wolfsburg have been looking a lot better. Kreuzer and Vind is a really, really nice partnership up top, and I just think they can get the win here, actually.
Good stuff. And Rune?
Yeah, I agree with Mark. Same result here. I probably wouldn't have backed Wolfsburg if Wirtz and Frimpong were fit, but it goes without saying that their season-ending injuries will have a big impact, not just in terms of their quality on the pitch, but also mentally. The fact that Wirtz isn't there to pull the strings offensively will have a huge impact, I'm sure. And yeah, they're playing in Europe tonight, and they lost. I mean, it's no shame, but it certainly won't help their situation. And yeah, Wolfsburg are not exactly blowing you away with their football, but at least they're looking better and more consistent than before their rivals of Kruse and Win.
Very good. Last game of the weekend. Obviously, again, the pressure will, in theory, be on Dortmund, who travel away to FC Köln if Bayern do indeed get the win and stretch their lead. I guess all they can do is try and keep on scratching out these results, which they seem to have been a lot better at doing all of a sudden. Again, these 1-0 wins. Reintroducing Haaland into the team, of course, is critical. It will be a really tough game, but I'm just going to back them. Just got a funny feeling that they'll maybe nick this one and keep on the pressure for a little while longer. So I'll say 2-1 to the away side.
Yeah, I mean, this is a tough one, really, because Köln have had an unbelievable season. They're probably the most improved team in the league, let's be honest, and they got another brilliant win to add to their collection last week at Leverkusen in the derby as well. So that was their confidence is going to be high, And I don't know, I thought, to be honest with you, I did think Dortmund were extremely lucky to win at Mainz. I watched that game last night, and I just thought, one mistake from Mainz gave them the game, really, but they didn't create anywhere near enough for my liking, and I thought actually Mainz had probably the better half chances of what was a low chance game, really. I just think Köln are the kind of side that are going to cause them problems, to be honest with you. I think they will score. They'll be really up for this game, they'll want to throw a spanner into the works of Dortmund's title race. And I've actually gone for a 3-2 home win here. I think it should be an entertaining game, this one, but I just think Köln are going to nick it.
Yeah, and I've gone for a 1-1 draw, actually. I agree with many of the points you guys made. Köln are coming off an impressive 1-0 win over Leverkusen, and they're a difficult side to play against. And yet Dortmund are in good form on paper, but I think they beat Bielefeld and Mainz without impressing much, except defensively, which is kind of ironical, considering that the 4 defenders playing were not like their primary defenders. But yeah, in addition to that, Reus is likely to miss out again, and I'm not sure Guerrero and Hummels and Haaland will be at their best yet. So I think this will be a tough game for them, and I'm not really backing them to like have a real run at winning the title. I don't think they have the quality, and I think they've been kind of lucky to be at the position they're in at the moment, if you look at the way they've played. So probably a 1-1 draw.
Very good. Sorry, my internet went absolutely bonkers there for a second, but I think we're all back and good. So that's the end of predictions. We have probably run over a little bit too much, so let's crack straight on with our fantasy football section. Very quickly, how are we all doing? Scores on the doors are, Mark's 205th, slight climb for him. I'm still in the 160s, and Rune has jumped back into the top 10. And our top 3, as it stands, has just changed one position. Cruise Control have dropped out of 3rd place for, I'm not even going to try and pronounce the name of that team. I do apologise. But whoever you are, you're doing really well. So congratulations. Rune, do you want to take us through your top 5 picks for this week? And then I think we've got a couple of questions that came in over Twitter, which we will go to after you've done your top 5.
Yeah. Okay. Let's go. First pick is Sylvan Widmer from Mainz, defender, 7.6 million. After their kind of hard game following their return after a COVID outbreak, they now have a much easier match at home against Arminia Bielefeld, who are in poor form and who haven't scored in the last 3 games. And as we talked about earlier, Mainz have a very good home record, and they are very good at keeping clean sheets. So they should have a good chance of getting all 3 points and a clean sheet at the same time. And Widmer is nailed on to start at right wing back, and has also shown that he's capable of contributing attacking wise with assists and goals. So I think he's a really good option this week. Second pick is Benzebaini from Gladbach, who is coming back from suspension. He's a little more expensive, 10.7 million. But I think he deserves to be back on your radar this week. He's a wing back too. He's on penalties and has a high ceiling and offers good flexibility because he plays on Friday evening. And yeah, Gladbach should probably have a fair chance of winning the game as well. They also have some other defenders I just wanted to mention quickly. If Joe Skelly or Luka Netz start, then they're also worth considering. They're much cheaper than Benzebaini, and they both had really good games last week in terms of fantasy output. Skelly picked up 13 points, and Netz were on 15, as far as I remember. And they're costing, Skelly is 2.1 million, and Netz is 4.5. So they're pretty cheap. Take a look at that Gladbach lineup and see if they're starting. Third pick is Christoph Baumgartner, and as we all saw a few weeks ago, he showed how much of a game changer he can be when he's on his game, and he earned Hoffenheim that comeback win, scoring both goals against Stuttgart. Sorry, Rory, but
very good goals. All the first ones.
When he's having a good game, he has a really, really high ceiling, and I think he could have a similar impact against the Hertha side in really big problems. And fourth pick is Vincenzo Grifo. Again, a bit more expensive, 16.4 million. I think he's probably the most obvious transfer to make this week, because I forgot to mention actually that we have an international break coming after this match day, which means we will get unlimited transfers afterwards. So you only need to plan ahead to this weekend actually. So you can make some punts and some you can pick some players that you only want this match day and then just swap them out afterwards. And Grifo is one of those players, considering Bayern face Freiburg after this match day, but that's no concern. So definitely a player worth bringing in. I'd say they're playing Fürth, and Grifo is coming off a brace against Wolfsburg. So a pretty logical transfer. Maybe if you're looking to swap out Florian Wirtz, then I'd say Grifo is like the obvious replacement. And final recommendation is Sasa Kalajdzic from Stuttgart, 11.5 million. He scored the last 2 games and he's in great form and will look to continue against Augsburg at home. It's a very important game for Stuttgart, and I think he could play a key role. Augsburg are likely to sit back in that game, I think, and Stuttgart will rely on crossing, trying to find the Kalajdzic. I'm pretty sure that will be their game plan, and I think he has what it takes to get on the score sheet again.
Fingers crossed indeed. So thank you very much for that, Rune. So we'll leave those kind of trailing down the bottom for you of the screen, just whilst we go through some questions quickly, whilst we still got a few minutes, so we don't run over too much, as the League 2 show, I think, will be starting soon. Very quickly, from Trial Balloon Des Liga on Twitter has asked, gotta get in on the TSG action this week. Brown, Baumgartner feels like a coin flip. Any strong feelings for one over the other? So that's the first part of the question for Rune. Similar dilemma regarding Kaderabek and Wimmer as a defensive option or addition. Thoughts on those two? Huge fan of the show. So thank you very much. Rune, what do you reckon on those two questions there?
Yeah, I think you're right with regard to Raum versus Baumgartner. It's pretty much a coin toss. If Raum were a defender, I would definitely go with him, but he's not. But then again, that has scared a lot of managers off the whole season, but he's done really well still, despite being a midfielder. So the way I see it, Raum probably has the highest floor. He's consistently doing quite well, but Baumgartner has the highest ceiling. I think if you're looking to like really pick a player who can pick up a lot of points and really make a difference as a star man, I think he has a higher ceiling. So it all depends on if you want to like play the more safe option. I would probably go with Raum, and if I were to take more of a gamble, then it would be Baumgartner.
Sure.
And the second part of the question, regarding Kaderabek and Widmer, it's a bit the same. They both have a lot of potential this week, but I kind of like to spread out my risk. I mean, so if you're picking a Hoffenheim midfielder, then it would make sense to pick a Mainz defender, I think. It sometimes does, at least, because then you're not relying too much on one team. And also, as I said, I think Widmer is pretty certain to get a clean sheet. I think it's looking good for Mainz there with regard to like keeping clean sheet. So I'll probably go for Widmer and Baumgartner of the players you mentioned here.
Very good. And another question or more of a statement, I guess, saying, how have I still have the power to play after leaving Nkunku and Angelino on the bench? Forgot to put an alarm on. Wimmer as a captain, 2 points, no captain in defence. Damn, I've missed out on about 60 points. So obviously one of our players that has had a bit of a dilemma when it came to this week. And I think there's one more, if I can find it, or even two more, from Lucas, has asked I have many Frankfurt and Leipzig players, and I was thinking which players from the other fixtures, Wolfsburg versus Leverkusen and Köln versus Dortmund, would you consider if Frankfurt versus Leipzig players wouldn't score good enough points? If you got all that, Rune, basically, yes. anyone from those two games that I mentioned that you might throw in.
Yeah, so players from Wolfsburg, Leverkusen, and Köln, Dortmund, right?
Yeah, that's the one.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I mean, with Leverkusen, if we're talking all positions, I think Moussa Diaby has been great all season. Despite being a forward, he's been doing really well. So yeah, he has a lot of potential, but it all depends on how Leverkusen will cope with those injuries, with injuries for Wirtz and Frimpong. If we're looking at Wolfsburg, I would probably look at Jérôme Roussillon in defense. He's not too expensive, and he has a pretty high potential too. I think usually does quite well fantasy wise. Also, Jonas Wind has done quite well up front. So you might want to take a gamble on him. With regard to Köln Dortmund, I think Benno Schmitz has been a great budget pick in defense for Köln all season, and the same with Schwebe, of course, if you're looking for a goalkeeper. Also, Köln have some injuries this week, meaning that a few quite cheap players might start. Jan Thielmann could start on the wing, so he's like a cheap option. And of course, with Dortmund, you could go for Erling Haaland, depending on if you think that he's playing close to his top level already, and that he's capable of like doing working wonders so short time after his comeback. A different option could be Rafael Guerreiro if he's fit enough to start. If you feel like if you feel certain enough about him, Torgan Hazard could also be an option. As far as I remember, he's a midfielder, so that's an advantage for him compared to, for example, Giabi, who's a striker.
Brilliant stuff. Very quickly from Jonathan Kahn, he says he needs to replace Wirtz. He already has Olmo, Nkunku, and Grifo. Where should he look in as few words as possible?
Yeah, okay, no problem. I think Christoph Baumgartner is pretty obvious choice, as I mentioned earlier, but also Chris Führig is a pretty cool differential option this week. I think he's owned by 0% and much cheaper. So that's
fantastic stuff. Well, thank you everyone for your questions. Sorry we had to semi-rush through them. We'll try and reorder things maybe a little bit next week, or be slightly more efficient on our predictions. But that's pretty much the end of the show. So brilliant to have Rune back, talking a bit of fantasy football, and have our trio back as ever. So I'll hand over to you, Mark, to close up the show, and obviously remind all the viewers about our giveaway that is ending tomorrow.
Yeah, of course. So yeah, remember, if you enjoyed the show, check out our Twitter @OverTheBarFB and @OverTheBarExtra. And yeah, while we're on that topic, I might as well mention the giveaway, as Rory said. So remember, 10 p.m. UK time on Friday, which is obviously tomorrow as we speak, 11 o'clock Central European time as well. Remember, the giveaway ends that we've been doing for the past week. Just let me remind you of the terms and conditions that you need to kind of enter, because we know that some people have kind of partially entered, but not completely entered. Remember that in order to fully be part of the draw tomorrow, then you have to first of all follow us and @Surprise Shirts as well on Twitter. Secondly, you need to retweet the tweet on the Over the Bar Twitter page. So you've got to retweet that. And then finally, you've also got to subscribe to the YouTube channel as well. So there you go. There's your homework for tonight. You got to make sure you do that so you can be involved. These surprise shirts are like really, really cool as well. I know Dave Pearson is like a really, really big fan of them. I think when I saw him, he had like some really interesting shirts on, some football shirts, like really, really abstract ones, like Argentinian second division and all sorts he had going. So yeah, if you're into your really like interesting football shirts to impress your mates at five-a-side or whatever, and try and get involved by following those steps. If you miss them on mine, you can also see it on the Over the Bar Twitter page as well, to remind you again. Yeah, so yeah, remember, OTBfootball.net is the main piece. I think, Rory, you've got an article just in the offing at the moment, right? So look out for that. Is that right, Rory?
Yeah, just my weekly predictions kind of written up, and a game to look forward to as well.
Yeah, so look out for that, you Bundesliga fans. Then, of course, yeah, anyone watching today, you got to like, comment, and subscribe. We didn't get so many comments we get quite a lot of live comments, but not so many after after the live show. So yeah, if you want to still get involved, you can do that by commenting on the YouTube. So yeah, thanks a lot, guys. Again, thanks a lot again to Rune, and we will see you again on Monday for the review show of week 27. So see you then, guys. Bye-bye.
Cheers all.